hooked in the game.
Need another life, give me a break. Need another life, oh, need another life, give me a break. Need another life,
Tonight, live from the London Stadium, it's probably known as one of the lesser London derbies, West Ham United taking on Arsenal. A tale of recent UEFA Conference winners from 23 against the FA Cup winners from 2020. Well, compared to the North London derby itself, West Ham United and Arsenal is probably considered a lesser one, but it's still a London derby. So don't expect any punches to be pulled in this one. Even though there won't be any punching, there'll be kicking of balls, football obviously. But yeah, expect a fiery encounter despite this being the lesser one. And West Ham are on a real rise right now. They're probably in a bit of a transition phase after moving on from David Moyes, I believe, at the end of last season. But West Ham is, like I said, a team on the rise. These were European Conference winners a couple of years back. So this team certainly knows how to win, and they'll be certainly up for this today. But there they are. They're up against an Arsenal side. An Arsenal side in top form. Really, almost no one can stop this team at the moment on a meteoric rise. The league table doesn't tell the entire story. We know that Manchester City are unbeaten and Newcastle have risen from nowhere, but don't discount Arsenal's achievements. They've certainly achieved a lot in this opening stage of the season. So let's take a look at the West Ham lineup today. And I previously earlier is actually going to get a start in goal. A couple of flashpoints in this team. James Ward-Prowse, who came over Southampton a few years ago, and Thomas Souček, and Andy Lukman, who's been doing very well up front this season. And a bit of a rotational squad for Mikel Arteta today. David Raya is the captain and is in goal because his the likes of Saka and Odegaard are actually put onto the bench. Well, Odegaard is anyway. So he's leading the team out today. And there is the unsung hero. That's Gabriel Martinelli. I wouldn't be surprised if he scores either, because like Saka and Isak, he's been really scoring goals for fun too. So there's no kickoff with Gabriel Jesus. Charlie Patino is in and is really enjoying his time. We really enjoyed seeing him. He's definitely got some potential. And we've said this a couple of times this season, but Arsenal's youngsters are very, very promising. Omar Reek and Charlie Pantano have been the two that have been the big standouts so far this season. They might have got a goal between them, but Reek did very well in his last outing. And Pantano is going to get his first start today. So Mikel Arteta is doing a bit of a Sir Alex Ferguson strategy, bringing through a lot of kids and giving them a lot of game time. And certainly they're all really worthy of their position. Bukayo Saka had a very similar kind of upbringing through the Arsenal Academy, if you like. Lukman already with a strike for West Ham. But the likes of Bukayo Saka, and I think Martinelli had the same thing as well. And obviously Lewis Skelly being another one. So there's a lot of promising youngsters coming to this Arsenal team at the moment. I think one of them, I'm not really sure what his name is. I think it's Jack Henry Francis, I believe, whose loan will be coming to an end rather soon. In fact, I think he may be available for Arsenal's next match, which I believe will be Manchester United. And that's going to be a very strange day for me, that one. Commenting on my former team with the team I chose to bring this broadcast to you this season. So that's going to be a very strange situation when we get there in about, I think it's in a week's time or so. But right here today, Arsenal need to win. This is one they can win on paper. Once again, it's just about putting points on the board and keeping the pressure on Manchester City and Newcastle United ahead of them. Mohamed Kudus as well. He's probably West Ham's vocal point. No goals for him, but certainly a main man in West Ham's engine room, so to speak. I do believe he's a midfielder, so there would be a risk of it. There he is. Oh, and what a beautiful looking ball, but unfortunately Tomiyasu is going to get there first. But that looks such a beautiful ball when it left his foot. Perfectly hit ball there. And unfortunately, it didn't go anywhere. But here he is, because Lumen intercepted the pass. And now Lumen's going to shoot. And David Raya, much as expected, is going to gather that one up. I think David Raya is about maybe 1 or 2 clean sheets away from the top of the clean sheets board. And he obviously won the Gold Glove last season. So he knows what it takes to win that. And here's Martinelli. And Martinelli has scored. And no surprise there, because Gabriel Martinelli, his form has been pretty much the unspoken form, to be honest, with all the attention on Alexander Isak and Bukayo Saka in particular. Gabriel Martinelli's rise this season has gone very much unnoticed, except for when he scores. And he's been really putting them in as of late. And now he's got another one today to give an early blow to West Ham's hopes of getting something in this game. They are slim, because this Arsenal team is on definitely a different level to last season. They've definitely gone a level up from there. But like I said, the league doesn't tell the whole story. Arsenal have definitely gone up a gear since the end of last season, and they continue to score goals. I think that continues a run of almost... Oh, and David Raya, that was a great save. And it was all but one game Arsenal have scored so far this season, and that's including the Champions League and the FL Cup games that they've been a part of as well. Only one game we didn't score, that was against Bournemouth. But of course, Aaron Ramsdale was in the Bournemouth goal that day. David Raya is really the reason why Arsenal are in this position, and very good defensively. It's not all on Saliba and Gabriel, even though they are the main vocal points in the centre of defence. But David Raya, much like just then, has been making great saves and keeping the scores down for the opposing team, only letting the odd goal or 1 or 2 in. The most he conceded was in that Real Madrid match, which you really couldn't have blamed him for anyway, given the class of that side. And Arsenal did give them some form of fight, didn't they, before they ran out of steam, unfortunately. But then the win against Feyenoord, that really put their Champions League back on track. And it's only one of 2 games Arsenal have lost all year, the other against Manchester City, of course. And here is Somerville for West Ham. Need to get some foothold in this game. West Ham definitely no slouches in the European department. But now they're in a bit of a transition phase after moving on from David Moyes. And we've got a bit of an early announcement to give you this season. We will be covering as a special, because it is going to be the last season at Goodison Park at the towards the end of May, on the penultimate day of the season. Everton will be playing their final game at Goodison Park against Southampton. We will be live, bringing you full coverage of that game. So stay tuned towards the end of the season for that. We will also bring you the final day, if there is a title battle at that point. I mean, it is already looking that way, but we will be bringing you, as it is the final game ever from Goodison Park, we will be bringing you full live coverage of that. So stay tuned in May to see the final game and the final goodbye to Goodison Park, and hopefully Everton can end that one on a win. Meanwhile, here's Gabriel Martinelli again. It's 2-0. Gabriel Martinelli has scored 2 in 20 minutes. It's another goal for him, and he is just on fire behind Isak and Saka anyway. But this whole Arsenal team is just such an on-fire unit this season. And it's another rocket shot by Martinelli. He scored a couple of those this season. I think the previous one was very similar, to be fair. Areola was beaten by almost the same strike.
Goal for Arsenal, number 11, Gabriel Martinelli.
So here's Irving, and here's Somerville, and immediately Tomiyasu is on it. Raheem Sterling makes another start tonight. And as we said, Sterling has scored recently now. He is on the board in his Arsenal career, but apart from that, he's been very much unnoticed. But like we said with Martinelli, because all the attention has been on Isak and Saka, everyone has been kind of put into their own little kind of bubble, if you like, all by themselves, while Isak and Saka are out on another stratosphere in terms of their form at the moment. But this whole Arsenal team is such a deep depth team and a cohesive unit, and very much togetherness with this team now. We've all had a few years together. Some of them, like Isak, of course, signed in the summer, but they've immediately gelled. Moreno, Isak, and almost all of their signings, actually. In fact, I have all of them. Have really fit into this Arsenal system well. Arteta has really accommodated well all his new signings and the ones he has already. And that was one of them in Jorginho. It's hard to believe that William Saliba was at one point on loan to Marseille. It turned out to be the making of him. And there he was getting another tackle in there. Here's Moreno, bought from Real Sociedad, and has been immediately gelled with the majority of this team. Alexander Zinchenko, Jesus is wide open, and there was a shout for handball against the West Ham defender, but I think that would have been rather harsh, to be honest. Littman's been pushed around a couple of times. The referee has finally blown his whistle and given the free kick. So, is this going to be another situation where Arsenal are dominating the game so much that Arteta is going to be going once again into his loan management mode and taking off his best players, which in this case would be Gabriel and Saliba at this very moment, because Isak and Odegaard are not in the starting lineup today. Odegaard made the bench. Right now, every time Arsenal step on this pitch, oh, beautiful touch by Patino. And now Jesus. It was a beautiful pass. He's fouled Moreno. It's beautiful football. It's 3-0. That touch from Charlie Patino was an absolute world-class touch. And the rest resulted in another Arsenal goal. It's 3-0 and we've already played half an hour. Arsenal are in cruise control. Almost no one could stop this team right now. We've had City and Madrid beat them, but no one's really been outright able to stop them from winning a football game. West Ham 0, Arsenal 3 after half an hour. We could be looking at another cricket score tonight. And another great tackle by William Saliba. And now Martinelli. Every time Arsenal get the ball, they're always pinging forward. Arteta has got them playing such a beautiful brand of football we've not seen from an Arsenal side in many a year now. You can tell Mikel Arteta played under Arsene Wenger. He knows how that works. Oh, and maybe that should have been a penalty, you know. I think West Ham will feel a bit hard done by there. There were shouts, but I think that would be a talking point. I'm surprised that VAR wasn't called into action there to kind of have a look at that decision, because that really looked like a clear-cut penalty. I mean, right now it probably wouldn't change the whole context of the match, but it would certainly give it a bit of a different look. We're not going to see it. We're going to see a goal from Moreno. 3 goals from Moreno for a midfielder. That's very impressive in an Arsenal side whose goals have been most recently dominated by Isak and Saka. And maybe Martinelli, you could argue too. Kudus with a shot. I think it came off Zinchenko and out for a corner. Certainly did. Zinchenko did brilliantly to put his hands behind his back there to avoid the handball call. That was wonderfully done. We are hearing that Jorginho has put pen to paper on a 1-year contract extension too. So Mikel Arteta is wanting to keep this Arsenal team together. Raya was a bit at 6s and 7s there, but the ball came off the West Ham player and it goes out for a goal kick. And that's probably the least comfortable Raya has looked this season, to be fair. But yes, Jorginho put pen to paper on a new contract earlier this week. I think it's a 1-year extension. Jorginho is getting up there in the age bracket, but you can't substitute experience either. And Jorginho definitely has a lot of it. And that's a foul, and that's going to be a booking for the West Ham player. It looks like the referee is really pushing the Arsenal player aside. He's not going to book him actually. And Tobido has got away with one there, because we've seen sending offs for very similar incidents. And it's going to be on Alexander Zinchenko stepping over the ball for this free kick here. I don't think he's going to shoot from here. He scored scissor kicks before last season. When me and the missus attempted, he scored that awesome scissor kick, if you remember. Unfortunately, there he gets 0 for his effort. It's a bit further out, to be honest. Probably should have passed the ball, you could argue. Shots on target, 5-2. West Ham have really had that period of threatening, but Arsenal have been 90% in control of this game. Coutinho has gone down and isn't really happy about it. Saliba gets as good as he got there, and the Aston Villa, the West Ham player is hurt a bit on his arm, and no foul given. Play is actually going on. Arsenal aren't bombing down the pitch. They're probably looking at their opposing kind of colleague, if you like. We all are footballers and humans at the end of the day. We all care. And it seems that the West Ham player is shut that off. Saliba can be a brick wall like that. It probably is more of a contact injury. I don't think it's anything serious. Saliba can be a real brick wall to get through. If he was setting picks in the NBA, people would crash into him and be knocked on the deck. And it's a goal for, not sure, but in all that kind of praising of them, Arsenal have conceded. Now, that could change the game a little bit. David Raya is unlucky because they hit the bar on the way in. Well, I'm not sure what Gabriel and Saliba were doing on there. Maybe there was a commentator's curse. That's a good strike. Nothing David Raya could do about that. His view is probably obstructed by Gabriel here. Gabriel does stick his leg out to try and get the ball. It's actually a really good goal. It's a really good goal from Somerville, to be fair. I think we've got to give Somerville tremendous credit. That's a very good goal. And to beat David Raya, you've got to produce really great looking shots. And he has. So Somerville has. So credit to him, indeed. Moreno with a beautiful ball in. Unfortunately, he didn't end up with anyone. But here's Raheem Sterling. And here's Sterling again with the rebound. And he's wide. Well, we've got to credit Sterling. He went after it. Wonderful effort. And, well, I think it's, I forget what his manager's name is. I think it's not Pellegrini. It's, Pellegrini, I think, or something like that. But yeah, he's had Arsenal arriving in his stadium today. And, the scoring run continues, but West Ham have got some foothold in this game. And once again, Gabriel is turned out by his man. Saliba once again putting the opposing player on the deck. It's Patino, Jorginho, and the third of 5 have added on time in this end of this first half. Sterling. And here is Moreno, and it's 4-1. The setback was only temporary. It does take one lapse of concentration, but in terms of the goals, Arsenal are a long way back out in front already. And if they do suffer a conceded goal, they always go and get double right back. And Moreno has got another one. I don't know how you really stop this Arsenal side from scoring all the goals they have. I think they've averaged about 3 so far this season. Many in a few games they've even scored like 5. So I think the average is like up to 3 at the very least. Saliba hits that up. Raya obviously can't pick it up, but he kicked it out very well. And Martinelli is now battling Kufu for the ball, but Kufu's actually got it. And Kudos can't run because that is the half-time whistle. Well, it has been a somewhat dominating display from Arsenal. There was one lapse in concentration for Gabriel and Saliba on defence, but by that point, Arsenal were up by 3, and Moreno added a 4th. It's going to be a long second half if that keeps up. West Ham 1, Arsenal 4. Welcome back to the London Stadium, and we are here for the second half between West Ham United and Arsenal in a London derby of sorts. I think it's West beats North, and already a substitution by Mikel Arteta was made. William Saliba has made way for Mono Lewis at the centre of defence, as Saliba is probably carrying on from playing the last game against Feyenoord, in which Arsenal won. Jesus, Ariel is there, and Sutek comes out, and there are bodies all over the box, and eventually West Ham do get it clear there. Kudus, Lukman. West Ham looking to start really brightly here, and he's done Zinchenko. He's got Gabriel in front of him, but can't pass Gabriel. You have to have one of at least Gabriel and Saliba on if you can't have both. You've got to have at least one of them. That's what Mikel Arteta has certainly been doing so far. Jesus, Moreno, who's on a hat-trick right now, and forces Ollie into a save. And Gabriel Martinelli get another. Martinelli whips it in towards Sterling, and he scored it! And I don't think Martinelli really intended that as a pass, but if he did, it was absolutely world class. And Sterling did the rest. It's 5-1 to Arsenal. And Martinelli, did he mean to whip that in? He'll probably say he did. I don't know. It looks like the posture of trying to whip it towards goal, but it ended up at the feet of Raheem Sterling, and he doesn't need those invitations twice. And that's Sterling's second goal on an Arsenal shirt. He's starting to come good after being rather anonymous, really. Not through any fault of his own. But like we said, the attention has been all over everyone else. Martinelli now. And now the shots are raining in. Here's Jesus. Pass down to Zinchenko. Towards Martinelli. Pantano's there. And referee plays advantage. Moreno. Coutinho down to Tomiyasu. And the shots are raining in. And Taribo, who was lucky probably not to be in the book earlier, heads that way. Now Somerville scored the West Ham goal, which was really well taken, by the way. Took nothing away from him. This time he runs into Gabriel. Gabriel doesn't make the same mistake twice. Not that it was a mistake in the first place. I think he read it right. It was just a well taken shot by Somerville, to be fair. Jorginho. Gabriel Jesus. Who's holding up the ball well, waiting for some support. He has Moreno and Sterling and Martinelli all in the box, but the chance is wasted. And that's the last of the night action for Irving. He's come on for Rodriguez. And more shuffling of the deck from Mikel Arteta, Martinelli, Jesus, and Pantano are making way for, I think it's I'm not sure who it was. The captions go a lot faster than we're used to. We'll bring it up in a second. So Martinelli has gone off for Reece Nelson. Jesus has made way for Killian Edwards. And one Arsenal youngster for another. Hand has come on for Pantano. Which is a shame, really, because Pantano's done really well. Edwards is a young Arsenal striker. And I think his chances will be pretty limited apart from days like today. I think more of the focus is coming into that game against Manchester United. But Manchester United are in such a transitional mess right now off the pitch. And oh, what a goal! And I think that was Rodriguez, the substitute that came on earlier. It certainly was. Now, did that take a deflection on the way through, do you think? And the mess is more on the pitch for Manchester United in terms of results, I mean. It's just, oh, that came off Gabriel. That's so unfortunate. David Raya. And Gabriel, he does his best. It comes off his knee. That might actually be an own goal. I think it would probably have been on target anyway. But Gabriel took it towards the goal. And it is a Gabriel own goal. That's a very much a rarity for Arsenal, to be fair. But there's still another 3 for West Ham to score. That's Raheem Sterling, who's gone down in a heap and not getting back up. And that's the last thing Arteta needs right now. More injuries to deal with. He's already lost Kai Havertz. And Hand shoots. It wasn't a bad shot from Hand, was it? And as we said, injuries to Arsenal's players, not something that Arteta really needs right now after losing Kai Havertz. They had a scare with Bukayo Saka earlier in the season. Fortunately, it was only for a week or so. And also Fabio Vieira missed 5 days with a hyperextended knee injury. And now, for Raheem Sterling, it could spell trouble. I think the diagnosis for Havertz was a broken toe. So that'll be out for a few months. He'll be probably back in January. And I think Hand had pulled his leg a bit there, so he might be on the injury list as well. I couldn't quite see it. It happened really fast, but I'm pretty sure Hand was reaching with the ball and he immediately pulled back on his leg. Hulberg is coming on for Linkman up top. Ward-Prowse for the corner, bit of a set-piece specialist. And Arsenal and Mikel Arteta has got to be wondering, what am I going to do to avoid getting these injuries to my players? Because right now he has 2 players hobbling around. It could be Cram. I think for Hand it might be. For Sterling, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Fulberg has got it. Now here's Kudos. And Kudos shoots! Oh, that was almost a screamer. No deflection on that. And maybe that was further away than it initially looked, but still. Would have given Raya something to think about. Well, a couple of defensive lapses in concentration from Arsenal. You can't really put the blame on Raya or even Arsenal's defenders for the goals, really, because they are very well taken. It happens. Arsenal, all they'll care about is taking the 3 points home, and they're going to do that today. And they need all the 3 points they can get. They need to win every game, practically until City lose at least one, which doesn't look very likely at the moment. Sterling is still feeling the effects of being... Oh, he's been pushed down. It's a penalty to Arsenal, and it's a booking for the player. And he's probably lucky to be on the pitch, actually, because that's Tabibo, who didn't go in the book earlier for something a lot worse, to be fair. And, well, if Sterling is feeling the effects of something earlier, he might be even more feeling the effects now. I hope he's okay. Arsenal here to go 6-2 in front. More goals. Jorginho goes for the jump, the Bruno Fernandes jump, and he succeeds. It is 6-2 to Arsenal, and it's game over as far as the contest is concerned yet again. The Bruno Fernandes jump, and the keeper rooted to the spot. And the end result is another Arsenal goal. I think that's Jorginho's second or third of the season now. That's the thing about this Arsenal team. Even without Isak and Saka, everyone else sees it as an opportunity to get on the scoreline, and they take that opportunity. And Sterling is still held on his feet a bit. I think Mikel Arteta will probably think about taking him off. And here's Kylian Edwards. And Tabibo has another rash challenge. He's very, very lucky boy right now to be on that pitch. And it is, I think, there is a substitute warming up for Arsenal. And it may most likely be for Raheem Sterling. And here's Kylian Edwards. And he misses. And, well, it's not what Mikel Arteta would have wanted. But he may have another injury on the table to deal with. Sterling makes way for Eddie Nketiah. And Souček also went off for West Ham to be replaced by Alvarez. Oh, and here's Somerville again. He's catching Arsenal napping. But Mara Lewis does really well. There's Tomiyasu to Haaland. Haaland is doing a great job of just keeping the shape. A lot of these Arsenal youngsters, they look like veterans. They've played so well. All of them. Here is Nelson, the ball in. Todibo gets there. Liverpool heads forward. Jorginho to Edwards. He's found Moreno, who's on a hat-trick. And Ariel saves again. Toward Prowse. Some of the West Ham fans aren't happy, but they have to realise who they've come up against today. Arsenal have been the unstoppable force, aside from Manchester City, really. Somerville looking for another wonder goal by the looks of it. Ward-Prowse. He was Arsenal bound at one point, wasn't he, Ward-Prowse? Fortunately, it didn't work out. In terms of a move, he probably would have thrived here right now. And that's going to be another booking. At the very least. Oh, he's off! And that's Somerville, the scorer. Red card for West Ham. It's probably been coming, to be fair. But it's not the player we thought. Somerville from behind. You really can't do that. And a lot of opponents, Arsenal's opponents have. It's almost like, it's probably not, but it almost must feel like sometimes to Arteta that teams are just out to injure his players with the challenges you see. They are really rash. Deservedly sent off. West Ham down to 10 men, and their job has been made even harder. They were out of the game a long time ago anyway. We must have a record for sending offs during broadcasts. I think we could actually break it this season. Every game we've watched, or every one in every 2 to 4 games, we get a sending off. Sometimes more than one. Listen with the header away. Kudus with a great hit, but no one's back there to deal with it apart from Edwards. For Arsenal, he's a striker. He ended up at the halfway line and he did a brilliant job. Nelson picks out Martinelli, or Hand rather. It's more beautiful Arsenal play, but Hand really can't go anywhere with that, unfortunately. Well, London has witnessed another high-scoring game for one of their teams. Well, it seems to be Arsenal doing most of the scoring anyway, because London has a staggering 6 or 7 teams that represent it in the Premier League. It really is a footballing country, and right now, it's the North that are thriving, at least in Arsenal's direction. Spurs has started to come back a little bit. Palescu's actually rescuing the situation and doing really well. He's making actually a climb towards the top 4 now for Spurs, which considering their start of the season, they'll take that. But it's going to hurt if Arsenal can take this one It was Spurs that were a telling point last season. This time, Arsenal want to make sure that no one stops them. With the form they're in, the only people that can are Pep Guardiola and his 11 starting City players, whoever they are. Because right now, City are the most dominant team this season. They've not lost a game at all. And that is really the only thing standing in Arsenal's way, because they're doing their bit. They're winning the games that matter. With their only loss coming at Manchester City and in the Champions League, only against Real Madrid. But Real Madrid and City, they gave them games. So Arsenal, even though they lost, they're not a mile behind both of them. And that's a good sign. And that sets up well for the rest of the season. But City have to drop points somewhere. That's the only thing Arsenal can really hope for right now, because they're doing their part. They're winning, and they're winning convincingly while they're doing it. Another 6 goals today. West Ham were nowhere at the end of the first half. It was over. And that is the end of another game and another scoring rout for Arsenal. But they do have worrying concerns over Raheem Sterling, who went down injured earlier. And they already have Kai Havertz on the injury table. So if Sterling has the same, his players will be dwindling. But once again, they did prove that no matter who is on the pitch, they will score an abundance of goals. 6-2 winners today. And it means that even if Raheem Sterling is out injured, I don't think anything is stopping this team from scoring anytime soon. So, let's take a look at all the other scores and what that means for the league table. Newcastle, I think this is the wrong thing. That's from earlier. So, actually starting from Crystal Palace. And Newcastle, it doesn't change the fact that Newcastle won, because they did against Crystal Palace, keeping pressure on Manchester City then. Bournemouth winning by the same scoreline, 3-2 against Wolves. Leicester drew with Brentford, and Nottingham Forest drew with Ipswich. That was our other games today. So Manchester City still lead the table by 2 points. Do they have a game in hand? No, but they still remain at the top. And we were talking about Spurs earlier. They've actually gone into 4th place, but they are 7 points behind Arsenal in 3rd. Liverpool up to 5th now. And again, an honourable mention to Little Brentford, who are doing a grand job again this season, up to 6th and ahead of the once mighty Manchester United. While Bournemouth, still to be the unsung heroes of the season so far, up there in 8th. Leicester City, now newly promoted, actually climbed to 9th now, and well clear in the safe zone, as it were. Brighton go ahead of Chelsea on goal difference. Aston Villa 12th. What happened to Aston Villa this season? Hopefully we could turn that around. Fulham 13th, followed by West Ham, following their loss today, in 14th. Forest 15th ahead of Everton, and Crystal Palace holding on to the last safe spot, with Ipswich, Southampton and Wolves still remaining in the relegation zone after 13 games for all of them now.